Hello. All right, I want to talk a little bit about how to paint with tempera cakes. And this will be the routine every time you use the tempera cakes at Shannon Park. So what you're going to need on the back table over by the door, there are cups. They look like this. There's brushes. Take one or two if you need them. Sometimes you need a big brush and sometimes you need a very tiny brush for those details. Okay, you might need two. The water cup should be filled about halfway. And then there's also trays of paint. And I have enough for every table to have one tray of paint. Okay, so what I usually recommend if everyone's starting to paint at the same time is that one person gets the paint, one person goes and gets the water, and maybe another person goes to get enough brushes for the whole table. I also like to have a little bit of paper towel and get it just a little bit wet, not too wet. And I'll show you what I use this for in just a second. Okay, now these paints are very dry. And so you have to wake them up. And so I always get my brush nice and wet, and then I pick the color that I want. And this whole thing, I know a lot of students use the center and just kind of push their brush into the center, but this whole big circle here is paint. It has to be woken up though. So what I recommend is you spin your brush around with enough water on it until you start to see tiny little bubbles. Now, let me show you the bubbles very close up so you can kind of see. When I mix this, oh, it just had some little bubbles. There we go. Okay, once there's bubbles, then the paint is ready to be used, okay? And then you can paint whatever you're painting on your paper, okay? Now, when you are ready for a new color, put it in the water, mix it up. You don't have to bang your brushes like this or anything. Mix them up and then check it. See if you have any paint on there, okay? If it looks clean, oh, yep, it's clean, then I can move on to the next color. And you do the same thing. You wake up the next color until you see those very tiny little bubbles, okay? Once I see that, oh, I'm starting to see them. Once I see that, then I can go in on my paper and paint. When your paint starts to look, when this red, because this is red that I'm using, when it starts to look pink, that means I'm running out of paint. You can either dip it back into the paint tray like this to add more color, or you might have to go back in, get water, add a little drip of water to it, and wake it up again, okay? It may have dried out a little bit. And then I can go in there and add more color to my paper, okay? And then I'm gonna mix it up. Now, if your water gets really dirty, and you'll know when it's dirty if you are mixing it up and cleaning your brush, and then you go to put it in another color, and all of a sudden a little bit of red goes into the green. Okay, well, if that's happening and you have cleaned your brush super good, then it's probably the water. You probably need to dump this water out in the sink and then get half a cup of water again and then start again. Sometimes the water just gets too dirty that it doesn't really work to clean our brushes well, okay? Oh, and I wanted to also show you guys what this is for. If you or someone accidentally at your table takes a brush and it wasn't totally clean and then they put it in a new color and it gets dirty, you can take this wet paper towel and you can wipe this paint off, okay? And you don't have to go really hard or anything. It comes off just like if you're wiping a table down or something, and then that will come off of the paint so that you'll have fresh, clean paint again, okay? And then I also asked that at the end of class, you don't really have to clean your tables necessarily because I have other art classes coming, But if you would please just make sure that they're dry with a paper towel so that the next class doesn't put their artwork in a big puddle of water or paint. Okay, so these will go back where you found them. So the paint trays, someone can take them and put them back on the table. And you need this cardboard underneath. There's a piece of cardboard in between each paint tray, and that keeps them from all sticking together and getting lots of paint on the bottom of these trays. So stack both things together and put them right on top of each other. Rinse your brushes off, okay, and then put them back. But I store brushes with the bristles up, okay, so they don't get smushed. And you can dump the dirty water out and put the cup on the table, okay? So everything goes right back where it was. This painting, since it's wet, is going to have to go on the drying rack. And I will always put a clip up with your class on there. So it will say like kindergarten, first, second, third, fourth, or fifth on there. And then find your spot and use that area of the drying rack to store your art so that I can get it back to you next time you come to art class. All right, you guys, nice job today. Can't wait to see you all using paints.